Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Planet Coaster. Today is something a little bit different for the regular Let's Play, in that we are doing a bunch of time-lapse stuff today. This entire episode is going to be time-lapse, and there's a reason for that. The reason being that I wanted to get the exterior of this factory completely finished, and that was taking a really, really long time. I attempted it once. I deleted the recording because I wasn't happy with it. I attempted it a second time. I edited the video, rendered the video, had it uploaded and scheduled to go out, and I was like, you know what? I don't like that. And I decided to delete that as well, then come back and redo a bunch of stuff. What you're seeing at the moment isn't stuff I redid, though. What you're seeing at the moment is work on the pathways and work on the landscape around the factory, or at least in front of the factory. This is stuff that I did actually a couple of days ago, maybe a week ago, and this is stuff I'm okay with. I'll let you know when we're in the stuff that I redid, just for the sake of conversation, but I am really pleased with how this whole thing turns out. We will, see it develop as time goes by, but even just things like the landscaping here were a lot of fun to do. It was something different. It's something I've done a little bit in Pirate Valley, but it's not something I've done a lot in this Let's Play, and this is something I actually want to do more in this Let's Play, is more involved, not necessarily time-lapse work, but more involved design and more involved construction, I suppose, and bigger projects. Out of everything in this park, this factory, this roller coaster, the landscaping around it, has taken the most time to build, and in the end, I'm actually really pleased with how it turned out. Like I said, I need to not say that kind of thing because you don't see how it turned out. At least you don't see it just yet, unless you skip forward in the video, and then in which case, spoilers. But it is worth mentioning that this is something I spent the most time on, because I do think it shows, and I'm actually kind of glad that we're doing this sort of post-commentary time-lapse episode here, because I do want to talk about a few things with regards to this series and this park and my thoughts and where it is and where it's going, etc., etc. And I do want to mention that I am aware that not everyone is keen on full time-lapse episodes, and I'm aware that some people might be watching this and thinking, oh, it's going to be like Pirate Valley, it's going to be loads of banter and flag facts and stuff like that, and no, that's not going to be this one. That's going to be Pirate Valley only. This one's going to be actually talking pretty much consistently about what we built. But I do want to spend a little bit of time talking about the series in general, especially since there's another couple of minutes of placing rocks and trees and all that stuff. So the series in general is going okay, I think. I'm enjoying it to a degree. It's interesting going back and forth between this series and Pirate Valley, because Pirate Valley is much more weirdly creatively focused. You might not think it is, because you might not think it's more creatively focused, since right now the only thing you can do in Planet Coaster is creativity, but it's sort of, it's more of a YouTuber thing than it is a Planet Coaster thing, but when you're actively commentating something, and when you're, actively making a video, I mean, with Pirate Valley, I do stream it, but that's not really that's more of a conversation with chat that's right there. With this Let's Play, usually, I mean, I'm on my own, I'm talking about what I'm doing, and that usually, that takes a percentage of your energy away from creativity, so It was nice to sit down and have a fully creative episode, and I do think that's something I've needed with this series. I've been feeling a little confused as to where this series is going as of late, because I look at it and go, it's not as good as Pirate Valley, I don't like it as much, it's not as planned, and that's because this series started out as my sort of first stab at Planet Coaster. Then I jumped in with the Let's Build, and to be honest, I've never really wanted to do two series in one game at the same time. And that is a mistake, and I'm not happy I wound up doing that. I mean, I'm having fun with them, but from the standpoint of variety on the channel and giving people more of what they want, and I know a lot of people want Planet Coaster, but generally it's not a good idea as a sort of general rule of YouTube to do too many series in one thing, or too much of this, too little of that, etc., etc. It's just, for me personally, it's not something I think I'll ever do again, just because I don't really think it makes all that much sense for my channel. It would have made more sense to do Pirate Valley now and a Let's Play even after May 24th when the terrain editing tools come out, or later down the line when we have the sort of actual management parts of the game. But that's not to say that we won't. I mean, we can do a second season, we can do this, we can do that, you know, there's stuff we can do that will, you know, come along in the future. There's stuff after Pirate Valley, after this Let's Play, there's stuff we can do. Anyway, back to the core of the video. What you're seeing now is actually the stuff I re-recorded. This was my third or fourth time sitting down to record the work in the factory, and I finally came up with something I liked, which is what you're about to see. So, the blue rooftops are back. I know not everyone is a fan of those, but I think they worked really great for this factory. I didn't want to give it huge peaked roofs. I thought that would look really dumb. So, we went with these sort of, I guess, warehouse-ish rooftops, the slightly curved ones and then flat, because I thought that is, to me, what I see this factory having. I think that's the most accurate for what I pictured going into this build. And I enjoy it. I really do. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. And I did stick with what I've been saying before with regards to this factory, in that the interior shape is not a representation of the exterior shape, and we'll get to more of that in a second. These things here, these massive chimney stacks, I'm so pleased with these, and I've not seen anyone do what I did with these yet, and I'm glad, because I'm gonna take credit for this idea, which is using the wall-mounted cannons. You're about to see it. There are wall-mounted cannons which are animated, which fire and leave a massive puff of smoke. Oh yeah. So what I did, as you can see, I put a whole bunch of them in two of the chimneys, and they puff out smoke at a slightly weird rate, and if you look too closely, you can see the explosions. But, yeah, I have working chimneys on this factory, and it's kind of cool to see. Also, if I sound a bit weird, I think I'm getting a cold. I've been getting a cold for the last couple of days. This is the thing, I don't really get a cold. I get the symptoms of, like, getting a cold. I guess that is getting a cold, but I get the symptoms of someone that is getting a cold for about a week or two, and then it's nothing. I don't know, it's really strange. Anyway, back to talking about the interior and exterior sort of not representing each other. It is worth mentioning that there is a very good reason that I didn't get on with the interior this episode. And I'm aware that last episode I did say, hey, we'll get on with the interior next time. Unfortunately, there's just not enough stuff, and it's as simple as this. There's not enough stuff in Planet Coaster right now for me to make the interior that I want to make. I want to make this look like a factory inside. I want it to have pipes. I want it to have all that kind of detail, and the game doesn't let you do that right now. The game lets you do a lot of intricate stuff with your builds, and I mean, I've seen people do these amazing structures in Planet Coaster, but it doesn't let you go into the intricacies of the interiors of those builds. You can make some beautiful exteriors of buildings, but when it comes to the interior, just not really so much, which is unfortunate, but that's something that will be sorted eventually when the game is developed a little bit more and we have more stuff in the game. And I mean, we can come back to this dark ride at some point, but that is another reason I wanted to just finish the dark ride, even just the exterior of the building today, because I really didn't want to be sitting doing this whole thing for 3 episodes in total. It would have been 3 if I did this in real time because of how long it took. This whole process, I just punched my mic. This whole process took about 2.5 hours, roughly. It was a lengthy one, and I would have been inclined to split that into 2 episodes, which I don't think would have been fair, because spending that much time on one build is just not the best. It's not the point of this series. But that's beside the point. That's talking about the series again. Anyway, what we're doing at the moment is adding in a facility to the building. which is, as you can see, of course, a toilet, which, if you watch my streams in Planet Coaster, you'll be getting a chuckle out of that. But it is a toilet. It is the only facility I thought that would actually fit here at the front of the building, and I think it works. But I do want to get more in here. I don't end up getting more facilities into this building in this episode, which is a little bit unfortunate, but that's sort of just the way things can go. I didn't really see where I could put them that would make sense right now. I have some ideas for later down the line when we build out around this building, because this building's not going to be on its own. I have got ideas for more sort of industrial looking buildings to go around it to make this area look like a really interesting industrial section of the park. But again, that's something that I will do to one degree or other, and then probably revisit should we get things like pipes and things that I can detail with this with a little bit more, because I think it would be a lot of fun to run, you know, just these huge, or not even huge, just these pipes overhead from building to building and coming up out of the ground and into buildings and out of parts of one building and into another part of the same building. I think it could be really interesting. I think it could add a really interesting look to the park. And it's something I do absolutely want to toy around with, and I'm excited about. I've said it so many times, so many people have said it so many times, but this game is excellent right now. It really is. It's a brilliant game here today, but it's going to be so much better in a month when we get terrain editing. It's going to be so much better in 2 or 3 months. It's going to be better in 6 months, in a year. This game is just going to get better for anyone with a remotely creative mind as time goes by. And it's not often we get that. It's not often you can look at something that's technically just early access, because that's, I mean, it's not Steam early access, but it's still early access. The game's not done, and you can currently purchase it. But it's not often you can look at an early access thing with a great deal of confidence and go, hey, this is going to be excellent in 6 months. This is going to be excellent in a year. Because a lot of things in early access, you don't really have that security with. But I feel like this is a case where you do have that. Anyway, back to the build. What we're doing at the moment is just adding a few more details to the top of the roof here. I didn't want the whole thing to be just blue roof pieces, so I did make sections where it looks like you can walk on it. It looks like there's parts of the building that you can, you know, walk from one door across the roof and into another part. I really like this idea, just because it did add some much needed detail to the roof, and by that it's interesting, because in a way it added detail, in another, I mean, the rooftops are just completely flat, but that makes sense given the fact that the rooftops are technically walkways. So, you know, I'm quite fine with that. It's I'm happy with it. I really am. I'm really pleased with how this whole thing turned out, and I can say that now because you can see it coming together, but it was a bit hit and miss, I'll put it that way. When constructing this the first 2 times, I looked at it and went, good lord, this building is huge. There are so many flat walls. There are so many sections that need so much detail. And again, the game sort of limits you in that way. So a lot of what we do to detail this building is those wooden pillars that you can see. I end up putting a lot of windows on the sides, just because it's good to add a lot of detail. It is, and I firmly believe that, you know, with a game like this, you can keep throwing detail at a building for as long as you want, and it's gonna eventually look pretty good. But there is a point that you can overdo it. So I figured, you know, this is a factory. It's a bloody huge factory. You're probably not gonna have extremely highly detailed and intricate walls. What you're gonna have is a lot of windows, basically, and it works. I ended up putting a lot of wooden posts around the building to add a little bit of extra detail to the walls, as you can see. But yeah, generally I just stuck with the windows and a bit of detailing here and there, and I put the windows in slightly different positions in certain sections of wall, but I really do think it worked. I'm really pleased with how it turned out, and I will say, when I was putting these wood pillars in back here, the this is the point at which I realized that part of the building existed, that back bit. And I do something with that leaves me a lot of space to expand the building's functionality just a little bit down the line. That's the space I was talking about, that when I build around this a little bit, I can quite happily go ahead and put some more facilities in there. So I'll put a Chief Beef in there, a Cosmic Cow, I'll put a Hat's Fantastic, and it will be fantastic. Hopefully. We will certainly see. But there we go, just chucking a bunch of windows in. Decided to do some sort of plus-shaped windows there, some small square windows up above, and a bunch more of those wood pillars just to bring some more detail to the building. And I really do think those wood pillars helps a lot. I really do. I think on the massive sort of, on the section of the building where the drop of the climb and then drop of the coaster is, I think adding those pillars sort of helped make it look a little bit less boxy. I mean, it looks like a box, but, you know, it looks like a detailed box. It's a box with windows and a sign and some wood on it, so it's okay. And those windows there as well, the sort of the ones I rounded off a little bit. Again, they were just there to add something a little bit different to the front of the building, and I will be honest, I added more detail to the front of the building than the back, just because I figured at the moment more people are going to see it, and later down the line, when we do eventually put stuff behind the building, I will then add a whole bunch of detail, but not at the moment, because no one's really going to see the back of it, and I'm not really sure exactly what's going to go behind it, so we will see what goes back there. But there we go, just putting another section of roof onto the back of the building. I did raise that up intentionally so I could get more stuff into that section of the building at some point. Like I said, I want to get a Chief Beef in there. I want to make it basically a little sort of mole, I guess. I don't know. I guess that's sort of what you would call it. It's kind of going to be a mole in the back end of the building, because there is a lot of empty space there. It doesn't have a coaster in, doesn't really have anything, so it'll be interesting to see how this building evolves over time, and I definitely want to do more projects like this. We're getting towards the end of the video, so it's probably time to give a bit of a conclusion, but I definitely want to do more projects like this, especially in this Let's Play. I think it could be very interesting, and I think it could be a nice complement to Pirate Valley, which is generally just one theme, whereas in this park we have some modern, but now we have this sort of industrial look. Anyway, folks, that is pretty much going to be it for today. There are a few cinematic shots at the end of the video, which hopefully you will enjoy, but hopefully you've enjoyed this different look at our regular Planet Coaster Park here today. If you want to see more of this kind of video, do let me know, but again, that is going to be it for today, so thank you kind of for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!